Hello everyone, welcome to Lady in the Red Bandana. Today I have a guest with me that has over 30 years experience in portrait and commercial photography, and his name is Stu. Hi Stu.
Hi, how you doing? All right?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, all good.
Cool. Excellent. So I'm just going to hand it over to you if you just want to tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, as Miss just said, my name's Stu Williamson. I've been a photographer for 30 plus years. I started as a professional drummer, or an amateur drummer, then went professional. And I used to play in a band called The Marmalade, for all you older people out there, which was great fun. But my real passion came along pretty well, you know, by a hobby that I just used to like taking a few pictures. And that developed into what I actually do now. But my drumming and photography were run in tandem for quite a number of years until I decided that's enough drumming for now. I'm going to be a photographer. And I took a huge leap of faith and actually moved to Cornwall because everybody in Leicester knew me as a drummer. And because you're only allowed to do one thing. A lot of my friends go, oh, you're not a photographer, you're a drummer. So I moved to Cornwall for 10 years and set up a studio down there. But yeah, that's basically where I was at in the beginning anyway. And yeah, I mean, so photography took over.
So you've not just been based in the UK, you've been based in other places as well. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, as I said, started in Leicester, moved to Cornwall, did 10 years in Cornwall, or lived for 10 years in Cornwall, absolutely loved it, but there wasn't a lot of business down there. Even though we were probably built up to one of the biggest photographer studios down there, it still wasn't a lot. We decided to come back to Leicester and set up, well, come back to Kidworth and set up in Market Harborough, 1998. We run a very successful studio, took a huge chance again. We predominantly focused on black and white because that was my passion, printing and taking pictures in black and white. So we went from Market Harborough for 8 years there, and then we took a huge gamble and moved to a country that we'd only been on holiday once to, and that's Dubai. Everybody said we're throwing away a massively good business in Market Harborough, but we needed a challenge. You know, you only get one chance, or one when the door opens, you've got that one chance to take it or forget it. So we moved to Dubai and we built up a very successful business there for 10 years. But in the end, I felt a little bit, I'd come to the end of the road with the Dubai business and just really wanted to come back to the UK and do my own thing and carry on creating beautiful pictures for commercial businesses, family portraits, anything photographic. But I was in control then, rather than having 100 staff as we did to deal with. And I became more of a sort of manager, and that wasn't really what it was about. So it was good growing the business, but there is the yin and the yang side.
So you've just talked about the yin and the yang side. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, in any journey, in any industry, there are ups and downs, and, you know, we take the downs as a learning curve. You've had a lot of experience with photography. You've had a lot of experience with lots of different people in different countries as well. What would you say helped you learn the most? I don't like saying downtime because it's not a negative, it's always a positive. It takes you in the way that your journey should be flowing. So what would you say helped you to learn something that pushed you into the direction you're in now?
Number one would be self-confidence. I think, you know, you've got to have a belief in yourself. It has to come from within. It doesn't really matter what genre you're in. As long as you believe in yourself and you believe that you can bring something to the table other than a chair. And I've always had a massive optimism about everything will be great. I love people, I love life, and I think I can be not a better photographer, a different photographer that would create images that people would really love. And I think that was the main thing, believe in yourself. And here's the thing that I tell my children. is to focus on your strengths and not on your weaknesses. And everybody will point out your weaknesses and it will drag you down. I used to go, well, you know, that's me. That's the way I work. That's what I'm about. But I focused on my strengths, and I'm dyslexic. You know, there's all sorts of issues that we all have. I wasn't brilliant at school. So finding something that I really like to do, and I was actually willing to learn anything, was brilliant for me. So, you know, if I could give anybody any advice, is to focus on your strengths. That's the main thing.
So what do you think you came up against when you were focusing on your strengths? Did you come up against anything that you thought, oh, how am I going to deal with this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still do. We do. It's every situation. I always think there's a plus and a minus. If there's a negative situation that arises, the sooner you deal with that negative aspect of what's come into your life, the better the result will be. I found that the longer you leave problems, the worse they get. So if I've learned anything, I deal with it straight away and move on. And I don't really dwell on it, and I don't really let things bother me. I think if you start to dwell on the negative side, you're creating negative energy, and that's a bad thing. You don't want to do that. So we all get issues in our life, whether it's tax man or the VAT, or customers, that something's happened or whatever. You have to deal with it as quick as you can and move on to keep positive. And it's the positive thinking that has been my savior. You think good, it happens good. You think positive, it happens positive. You know, every day I think positive and good things happen. Yeah, you get the bad things, but you know, you just move on. You just deal with them and get on with it. A lot of people get absorbed in the negative side of life, and you can't afford to do that. It's not worth it. We're not here long enough to dwell on negativity. So be the eternal optimism. I am anyway, you know, and it's always done me well anyway.
I think being that way, you get that nice positive energy drawn to you as well. It will come back to you. So the people around you then become positive. I find that with work, if I have a negative client coming in because they're having a rubbish day, which, you know, like you say, people do, if you remain positive, you'll change that client's point of view by the end of your session or the end of their treatment. So I completely agree with you with that. Now let's talk a little bit about you. You are you obviously there to create beautiful pictures for people, and I know from experience that you've created some beautiful photos for myself and my family too. So what do you do to look after yourself though? What do you do in your spare? So obviously you talk about your drumming, but what do you do to look after yourself?
I think the number one thing is your mental state. And you can have too much noise going on in your life. So it's a good idea to have a hobby, whether it be reading, whether it be, you know, running, gym, find a few, you know, just to have total you time. And I think that you need that silence, you know, because if you don't get that silence, it becomes too noisy and you overload in the end. So what I found is that for me, you know, I play in a band. I like painting, and I like the gym. I go in the gym most every day, and listen to music, just do a bit of workout. But the most important thing is, you know, having that peace of mind and what you eat as well. It's so important. It'll change your moods. So find out what your body likes to eat, and I found that don't overeat, but eat the right things, because it's all about what you eat, you know, drink, and your whole state of mind that carries you through on a positive basis. Because if you're eating the wrong things that make you more sort of like let's say you have a sugar rush. 1 minute you're way up there and you're bouncing off the wall, and then you have a crash and you know, I'm feeling really down today or later. So it's a balance, if I've learned anything, of keeping that, you know, good healthy level, which overall affects everything we do. So that's what I do. Just find something that you really take. You can step back and take some of the noise away from you.
So you said you had over 100 staff, is that right, in Dubai? So how did you deal with that? Because it's very different. What you're doing now is very, very different. And how did you deal with that? How did you look after your mental state with over 100 staff, you know?
Pretty well the same way as I do now. I did the gym. I put in place what I call buffers. So I wasn't getting, you know, all the noise, you know, on a daily basis. I'd put in buffers. In other words, I'd employ people to protect me from making decisions, especially making the wrong decisions as a business owner. And the most important person in my life is, you know, was my family and my wife, as I think you know, Karina anyway. She would be a brilliant sounding board. So sometimes I would make a decision. I wouldn't let it go out, but she would come in and say, do you think that's right? And I go, actually, no, now you point that out. So it's good to have somebody that you can, you know, get a second opinion on. But yeah, I'd have a studio manager, I'd have an assistant studio manager, and I'd have an HR manager. And only when that person would get past all of them would it come to me. And at that point, it was either, you know, we're going to have to lose these people, or, you know, there might have been another issue. But generally, that was how I dealt with it. You know, when it gets to a big company, you have to distance yourself. Otherwise, it's like a crash. As soon as you walk in, you're the teacher, and everybody comes running to you, and it's overwhelming. And what happens? It does stop you doing your job. And that was one of the things in the end, that I'd taken the company as big as I wanted to take it, and I needed just to go back to taking photographs, because it was taking me away from being a creative photographer. So that was the way I dealt with it. And everybody has their own techniques, but that was mine.
For anyone who wanted to get into the industry that you're in, and there are a lot of photographers out there now, and I'm guessing you make yourself different to get the jobs, and you're obviously very, very well known. So for someone who's just starting out or wants to change their career, how would you suggest they start?
Right, I think the first thing is to find out what your style is. That's the number one thing. You know, what is it you do for a start? Do you do black and white? Do you do color? Do you do both? Do you do sports, families? You know, find out what you're particularly good at and go for that. And without any shadow of a doubt, put your face on everything, because as a photographer, you need to be seen. You need to be seen. It's no good just putting an avatar of a tree and saying, you know, Stu Williamson photography and there's a tree. Or, you know, at least being a photographer, you've got to be able to have a photograph taken. And I think social media is fantastic. But the most important thing, once this lockdown is over, we grew our business mainly by networking and by you know, going to events and going along to business groups. So as a new venture, as a new photographer, that's what I would do. I would set up my Instagram, I would do Facebook, I would do whatever is current, I would be on that. And you know, it's massively important now to make sure that your website is number one. If you're going to spend anything, spend it on your website, because that's where it comes down. And most people have got these iPhones and these Samsungs, and they go, okay, well, I can do that. It's very easy. You take a picture. But what's happening now is people are becoming aware that they're actually just iPhone pictures. You need to be you don't need a photograph as such. You need a creative concept. And that's what I do. When people come to me, I do website photography and obviously advertising photography, but it's the concept that is properly executed. And when it goes onto the website, it looks $1 million. And you can tell it's not just an iPhone picture. So many business portraits that for companies I see have been taken on a white wall with a phone, and they just don't look very good at all. A good skilled photographer can still make that person look fantastic, you know, without all the buttons of make me look fantastic, you know, that's available. You know, so that's what I would say. Do just make sure that you find what you're good at and get networking and socializing. That's the best thing. And word of mouth happens there.
Word of mouth and communication is definitely key, I think, in any industry, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's no good sitting in this brand new studio and thinking, right, I'm ready to take some pictures. You've got to get out there. You've got to be very sociable. That's the thing.
So I'm guessing social media has helped you through this, and your website obviously has helped you through this patch that we're in. Say patch, year that we've gone through.
Of course, yeah. Very tough, you know, but very tough. But you know, what's the old saying? When the
going gets tough, tough gets going.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing. You know, you just got to stay in there, just get in there. And now, all of a sudden, since the children have gone back, our phone's not stopped ringing. You know, we've got jobs and big companies calling us for this shoot and that shoot. We've got so much work, which is fantastic. But what people have realized now is, hey, we're coming out. We've got to get our act together now. We've got to update the website. A lot of people have had a good long time to think about where they're going and what they're doing. So everybody's fine-tuning now, fine-tuning the websites, fine-tuning their vision. They've got a short-term goal, a long-term goal, and they're just sort of pulling it all together now. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, people are realizing that photography is the key to it. Everybody's photograph mad. So, you know, it's if you've got an idea, and if you go, look, for my beauty salon, I need to be separate from everybody else. That's when I come in, we sit down, we discuss what makes you different. I know what makes me different, my photography, but what makes your business different to another one similar? And we come up with a creative plan for you or any other business to make sure that the images that are being put on social media and the web reflect the quality of what you do. And that, coupled with your networking and behind the scenes and little videos, you know, on YouTube and Instagram, all adds up to a huge quality. But the main thing is the person behind the brand or behind the business has to be that driving force, you know. And that's number one. A lot of people fail because they oh no, I don't want to be out there. I don't want my face on the business. You've got to do it because people buy into you, don't they? You know,
that's
they
what
come
we
back.
want. That's what we want essentially, is them to buy into you and not just the brand.
Yeah, no, not just the brand, because first of all, they have to like you. You know, they have to get on. They have to feel comfortable with you, don't they? And once you've got a business relationship, people come back because it's a trust. It's somebody they've got a relationship with that they're comfortable with, and so it's not about the money. It's really not about, you know, the money, how much you charge. I mean, I'm talking without being silly, you know, but people come to you for the service and the experience, don't they? It's an experience to come to have a photograph taken. It's an experience to come along to the beauty salon. So people go, I really enjoyed that. I'm definitely going to tell my friends, or I'm definitely going to come back if I need any more pictures because, you know, Mish is brilliant. I get on well with Stu and so on. And that's how businesses keep going. They have a dedicated, loyal customer base, and you build on that because they tell their friends, and you can reward them people as well for giving you other business, you know. And a lot of people will use a reward method, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. We do as well, because a lot of our clientele is through recommendation now. Again, like yourself, Mum has been running since she's had a clinic since '93. So yeah. You know, so it's run for quite some time now, and you know, we've had lots of different staff members. We've got really good unit now, and it you know, recommendation, I can't say enough about it, because that's what keeps us going. And
yeah,
the fact that we've come to you to have photos taken of our family, we would then recommend you, and it just keeps on going, doesn't it? So that's the networking and the communication thing that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with Sheila, she's the driving force behind the original business. And now what she's doing is the same as what I did, is you're bringing in people similar to you with the same positive energy, and you either train them or they've been trained and they fit into the business like hand in a glove, you know, and you build a business that way. You're only as good as your worst picture as such. So you have to make sure, or I did, that the people who join me are of similar thinking. I don't want somebody who's negative. I need somebody who's up and able to carry the brand or carry our style through, you know. I mean, we've set up a school business now where we have 4 photographers, and they're all amazing. They're all vibey. They're all. I mean, here's the thing, and I've always sort of stood by this. That I learned a long time ago. There's only 2 types of people, and one is a warm fuzzy, and one is a cold prickly. Okay.
Yeah. No.
So that, and I've always stood by that. All my team are warm fuzzies, you know, because that's what I like. But you'll meet people who go, oh, they're a bit offy, they are, you know. I put them down to cold prickly, so you're not going to get through to them. And if you've got to make sure that within your team that you haven't employed a cold prickly. But all of your friends, Mish, would be all warm fuzzies, wouldn't they? Let's face it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and Sheila and mine, because we pick similar people, and that reflects the business as well. But that's what I've found anyway, you know, in my life, and I've always sort of stood by that.
I think with the knowledge that you have through your photography, through your communication with different people, through your traveling, it's really quite empowering, especially to hear as somebody who I used to take photos. I wasn't ever a professional photographer, but I did try it. And I think having that knowledge and hearing it from you is really empowering. Do you feel empowered by your knowledge?
Well, knowledge is power. The very nature is, it's always been known that knowledge is power. But the one thing I will say, experience is knowledge as well, which is power. But the one thing I will say to people who do watch this, they always say, well, it was all right for you, you've done really well, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I started off 20 odd years ago again. And I think me and Karina, we started with 95 pounds, and I was sleeping, you know, on my mate's couch. And Karina was living with her parents, that's my wife. And to think that my vision and Karina's vision was to do well, to think that it would take us to Dubai, and I would be sitting on the board of trustees with the Crown Prince, the ruler's son, obviously, and having been invited to join his photographic company over there, or competition that we run, and then to photograph Bill Gates, to do work for Armani, Versace, to be the only photographer for the evening with Cindy Crawford. It's all way, way above what I thought anybody could achieve, least of all me. Because although I had a passion to want to do these things, I didn't think people like me would ever get there. It was other people. And so for everybody who thinks that they can't do it, I promise you, have faith, you know, believe in yourself, focus on your strength, and you'll go to wherever you want to go. It's how it works with that positive thinking. You will get, it may take you a little while. People try to bite off too much at one time. Take it in small steps, learn a bit, move on, learn a bit, move on. But, you know, like I say, you can do it, you know, definitely. There's no question. If I could do it, I'm just a lad from Oadby. Anybody can do it, you know.
That's really inspirational for a lot of people out there, I think. Now, what inspires you? Is there anyone that inspires you particularly? Sure, yeah, there's in different walks of life. You know, there's
some hugely intellectual people that when they do a lecture, I think, oh man, I wish I could, be as fluid, as he is delivering words. So I get inspired by different people. I get inspired by a lot of humanitarians as well. And they could be the most simple thing. There was just something, I watched a video the other day, I tell you what, this is a good thing as well. I love this saying as well. And it was by the body shop owner. What's her name? Anita Rod. What was her name? The body shop.
I'm not sure what the owner's name is.
Something like Anita Rodistock or something like that. Anyway, she was being interviewed. A similar question was asked. And she said, you can make a big impact because of who you are. And she says, well, don't think about it that way. If you think you're too small to make an impact, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. Okay? Yeah. And I just love that. So going back to what I was saying, there was this Indian lad, there was a beach full of clutter, plastic and everything. And on his own, he started picking all the bottles up and taking them to the bin. It was just 100,000 plastic bottles on this beach. And then other people joined in and they helped. And then more people. Then he got the whole of India cleaning the beach. Now it's a top pristine beach. That's just one person doing one act. So people like that inspire me. People who have come from nothing to greatness really inspire me. And people who are focused on their strengths in their particular genre, no matter what background they've come from, who have done exceptionally well, inspire me as well. So it could be first man on the moon. That would have been an amazing thing to do. What an inspiration. But there's many, Mitch, there's many people that inspire me. I love it. And I always watch out for these people. And, I try to inspire who I meet. I tell you what, I've got a picture here I found, right?
Okay.
Just reminding me. Okay. You see this little lad on the drums?
Yeah.
Okay. He was about 11 years old and I was teaching him. And he wasn't particularly very good, but I stuck with him. I really stuck with him and gave him as good a lesson as I possibly could. Some teachers go, I can't be bothered. You're just not picking it up. Anyway, I stuck with him. And then this was in 1981, that picture, a long time ago. He rang me last year. Can you believe that? He just found me and rang me last year. He said, I just wanted to thank you for helping me and taking the time to help me. I now play in Santana.
Oh, wow.
So I went, hey, it wasn't me that got you there. You got you there, but you believed in what I taught you and you had a vision. So I must have given him something to take home with him that inspired him to keep going. And, and that vision would have been, you're really good, mate. You're really good at what you do. Irrelevant if he wasn't as good as other people. Just that vote of confidence takes you a long way. It really does. Takes you a long way. When somebody says that to you, you're really good. And I mean it, that you're really good. And you're going to go a long way. It does mean a lot. And I don't mean teaching somebody who's absolutely gifted. I mean, I like people who are really trying. Who really do try to their limit. I love that, and I always try to inspire them on that, and I think giving that inspiration to people is a gift that it's so valuable to give people inspiration and love them and give them a good voice to take with them. So obviously did that with him, didn't we? Which is great.
That's amazing. I mean, when he told you that, you must have been like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, just, the amount of people that I meet, I don't know why, but they come back to me and they go, you really inspired me. Oh, did I? Oh, great. It's because I've got positive energy, And I photographed these twins once. I did a bit of sort of gothic-y picture and lovely mum, lovely girls. And years later, they were about 11 and she came in to see me only a few years ago. And she said, that picture and what you took inspired me to be a photographer.
Wow.
Only 11. So you never know what your words mean to anybody. But so long as they're positive words and encouragement, then they can go forward with that. I'm always, always interested in listening to people's story, and what their vision is. And if I can help you, just give me a shout. I've got a bit of experience. My probably experience in what you've just said was I'll probably try that. But I love that. I love all this sort of humanitarian thing, and I love helping people. I don't ever think what can I get from it. I always do it for love, and because I like people,
Well, you're very, very positive inspiration. I can tell you that right now. Oh. But I would like you to tell our viewers and listeners something that no one knows about you. Obviously, Karina probably knows about you. That's fine. Your family probably know about you. But tell us something nobody knows about you.
Okay. Maybe may sound a bit strange, but I'm what's called a medium, psychic medium. And I have been since I was 5. So that side of me, I'm what's called a psychometrist. A psychometrist is something that you can hold an object and you can get all the information from it. It could be an old one, it could be a chain or a bracelet from somebody, and you can help that person with a lot of different things, mentally, physically, and the whole aspect of that person. So I've always had that ability to do that.
How did you discover that?
Sorry?
How did you discover it?
I discovered it when I was about 5, and I was polishing my granddad's war medals, and he'd been long dead from the First World War. He was lost in Flanders, and I was polishing his medals, and all I could see was soldiers and bombs going off and fighting, and I just thought I was daydreaming because I was polishing this medals, soldiers, and then years later it dawned on me that I was reading about it, and I tried it again. I would touch, let's say I walk in a building, an old building or something, and I sort of touch the old wood beams or something. I can touch that, and a video comes up, and I can see who lived there. I get all the names, I see them, and it's amazing. So, and I write it down for the people. So if I go to the houses, if they want me to, I'll go along and and do a reading for them. I don't charge or anything. It's a sort of gift. There's a lot more to it than that, but in a nutshell, that's another thing that most people don't know that I do. So it's an interesting fact.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been really inspirational as well. So thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers and listeners?
Well, if you need any photographs, you know where I am, or you can contact Mish and she'll tell you where we are. But I hope it gives some people some encouragement in these, especially in these sort of more challenging times, shall we say. But onwards and upwards, as we say, and wishing you all the best for the future. That's everyone, and obviously, especially for you, Mish, and Rob.
Thank you. Oh, he'll appreciate that. A little mention. Thank you.
I like people who are really trying, who really do try to their limit. I love that, and I always try to inspire them on that, and I think giving that inspiration to people is a gift that it's so valuable to give people inspiration and love them and give them a good voice to take with them.
we have been the lady in the red bandana, and we want you to be empowered to believe in yourself.